Okay guys, so welcome to my tutorial on how to create a thumbnail. First of all, you should have this little slide here in order to open, the YouTube tutorial. You're already in the YouTube tutorial, so you don't need to open anything here. But to follow this tutorial, you will need to also obviously have a Canva, because everything that I will do is gonna be fully on Canva. I will not be using any other software, and the only instances that or moments that I will be using external websites, it's to do some workarounds whenever I'm using features that are exclusive to the unlimited version of Canva, which is Canva Pro. I use Canva Pro and it's fantastic, but you won't need to have Canva Pro, so because I will always do a workaround whenever I use a feature that is exclusive to Canva Pro. But anyways, you can have a 30-day free trial of Canva Pro if you decide to give it a shot. So the first thing obviously is to open Canva. You can do that by just typing here canva.com, or if you also want to support the channel, you can open Canva with this link, which is like my affiliate link. So I would receive a commission in the case that you pay for Canva Pro, right? After the 30-day free trial, if you end up paying for Canva Pro, I would get a commission from that. I'm not sure also if this is entirely an affiliate link itself on Canva, but anyways, I also put it here. So we will go to Canva. And once you're in Canva, you can decide to start your free trial of the Pro version, which is the Canva Pro, and you will have that 30-day free trial, or you can also just use it entirely for free, the freemium version. And as I said before, you can definitely follow this tutorial with the freemium version, because anytime I use the Canva Pro feature, I will also show you a workaround that you can do to not having to depend on Canva Pro. So let's see what happens if I click here, start your free Pro trial. I guess, because I already have the Canva Pro, I guess I'm not prompted the option to join the 30-day free trial. And in the other option, get Canva free, it will give you the freemium version. In my case, this is also the Canva Pro, because I'm a paying member. So once in Canva, you just simply go to create design, and we would choose presentation 16:9, which is the ratio. That is the ideal ratio for YouTube videos and for thumbnails. And so here it's telling me to open this design on Canva app, which I also have the Canva app, and you can also download it, of course. So it's actually more easy to do this designs with the Canva app. So I will just press yes, please, because I already have the app downloaded in the desktop. So that's fantastic. The cool thing about the app is that you can sort of open new windows as if it was like, Windows on the Chrome, right? Just like we are used to do this with Chrome, and you can do the same with Canva. And that's really cool, because of course, instead of opening a window to browse stuff or websites, you will be creating a new design every time you use the new window option. So for instance, we can go to custom design, and we can use our custom design, or I don't know if there's the presentation 16:9. We can, for instance, choose it as well from here, and we will have a new presentation to start designing our thumbnail. Okay, so But yeah, before starting, I want to mention also a few things. So one thing that I wanted to say is that with this course, I think you will not only learn how to create decent thumbnails and the psychology game, for optimizing the click-through rate and all that kind of thing. But also I think it's going to be useful for anyone who just wants to learn to use this creative leverage that exists on Canva, right? So, and this is something I really like, because just as Naval talks about leverage on, using the internet in a general sense, I really like that this is like also, of course, leverage on the internet, but this very, very specific, right? And just for, also with Canva free, like the freemium version, you also have a lot of designs, right? And with the premium version, you have unlimited access to all of these things. And it's great because it gives you this something that, I don't know, I think about it, and I sort of call it like the creative leverage. And so because you can use the leverage of all these independent designers who supply their creative work to Canva, right? So these creators, these designers would charge royalties to Canva every time a user comes and uses one of these designs. I think they will charge royalties only for the pro version, because I don't think Canva is paying them for the free version, right? For instance, this design, anyone can have it, right? On the freemium version or the premium version, but this one only the premium version. So I'm thinking that these kind of designs are the ones that the designers charge royalties on, right? But it's great because, we can just leverage over all these creative things, right? For instance, if I click here, I don't know, there, right? Or even if we go way more niche than this, right? But you just have so much things to play with, right? You have this kind of bird. Also, it's cool that you can just come here and change the color, right? To any color that you want. And just like that, that's essentially how I build my slides. I use all of these kind of creative things, right? Or, I don't know, if I say internet, for instance, right? Internet. You just have so much stuff here. But okay, that's just a glimpse of why is Canva so useful, or why I think it's so useful, and it's been to me. Okay, so so just one more thing that I wanted to mention, which is that thumbnails and also the video titles, I think it's something that YouTubers, and I mean not only I think it's all the biggest the bigger YouTubers, right, that I have learned from, and especially from Mr. Beast, and also a lot from Ali Abdal. I have realized that a lot of YouTubers, and me included, a time ago, underestimate the power of the video titles and thumbnails. It's just really easy to underestimate it, because you would think that it's way more important, the actual content and the actual information in the video. And it's true, it's extremely important, right? But it's also extremely important to have a good thumbnail and a good video title, because if the thumbnail and the video title is not appealing, people is not going to click on the video. And so all the work that you put into making the video, the information and all that, is not going to be even consumed by anyone, right? It's like you're building a beautiful castle and you're, doing everything right, but then you forget to make a good door, right? Or a practical door, and people cannot come in, right? So it's like, no, people won't ever see how beautiful the castle is, and all the work that you put in, and all your the things that you wanted to say. No one is going to see it because they couldn't fit into that door, right? In this case, for instance, in the case of the videos, would be like someone scrolling, you know, and they see your thumbnail, your title, and imagine they don't understand instantly what's the video about, right? That person is not gonna watch the video. Or if they don't see clearly what's on the thumbnail design, you know, they are going to be confused and they're going to just scroll away, right? Or if the thumbnail doesn't convey an emotion or triggers an emotion on the viewer, he's also going to scroll away, right? So those are the two main things, right? Triggering emotions and making it really, really simple to understand, almost instantly to understand, that you don't even have to think about it, right? But I will comment this more later. But now let's start with the design. The thumbnail that I will be making, it's exactly this one. This is the thumbnail that we are going to be doing, and our goal will be to get to something exactly like this, right? And essentially there's a background here, a degraded background. There's of course Chamath Palihapitiya and Naval Ravikant. There's this title, right, which says "Ideas are the new oil," and a little figure to support the main idea here that I want to convey, which is that ideas are the new oil. And also, of course, something that is really important that I'm just thinking about it right now is that it has to be visible, a very distant zoom. The one I normally tested is at 26% or at 26%, and everything should be very visible, right, at 26%. Because just imagine that you have this on your mobile phone screen, right, or even like this, right? It would be like something like that, more or less, the dimensions of the thumbnail. But okay, let's start with it. The first thing, of course, we're going to create is this background color. And for that, let me just put the micro a little bit more away from me because, okay, so I have a little bit more of freedom with my hands. Okay, let's see. So what I would do is I would write here, for instance, something like square. And okay, you might be thinking why I don't just use colors here to make like a background from here. But the thing is that I think you cannot do a gradient type of color, like using multiple colors with this thing, or at least I haven't seen it or learn it. And so what I do is I just type here square, right? Square. And then I go to, I believe, I don't know if it's like graphic. Okay. So, yeah. So for instance, here we have two colors. I don't know if you have this. Oh, but this is like the border. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. So I have to actually type in square gradient, right? So it knows that what I want is it's a figure that has like a gradient color. For example, this one is going to work just perfectly. And now what we do, and also, and this is not a Canva Pro feature, so there might be ones that these ones are Canva Pro features, but these ones are not, so you can definitely use it for free. And if you actually look at this one, okay, it's fixed, so if you just do this is the colors that I'm using. So it's exactly the same thing as this. Maybe it's a little bit more rotated, right? And a little bit like this, so that I can actually spot the colors that I want. But it's essentially the same thing, right? And this is the color that I'm using. This is the code of the color that I'm using. So in this case, my color is #80FFDB. So I'm not sure if I can just copy it or I have to memorize it. Okay, I will try to memorize it. 80FFDB, okay. Okay, we have one. And this one, let's see what it is, this one. Hashtag 046668. Nice. And we get something very similar. Well, it's still different, but maybe if we do it something like this. Okay guys, I'm thinking that actually what I used is sort of like a rectangle. So we are just going to already search for it, but it's like, this is the one that we actually want, rectangle gradient. And we can just go ahead and use this one. Right, and then the code is ATFFDB. And also this is, actually I would like to turn it maybe something like this. Okay. And then for this color, we want this blue, which is 0466C8. Nice, okay. Okay, I think now we really have something similar. Now I'll try to use this same orientation. And then the size, it would be something like this for the size. Nice. So it's pretty similar, guys. It's not gonna be exactly the same, but it's very, very, very similar. I think this one is a little bit more monotonous. It doesn't have that gradient very visible. I think this one is more visible. Maybe I like this one better, I don't know. But maybe it's too dark on this side. But of course we can always like work on that. But that would be essentially how we would create this sort of gradient background, right? Really, really easy. And one thing that I recommend you and I just use all the time is actually play with the colors before, you know. And there's this perfect website to do that, and there's no affiliation whatsoever, but actually it would be amazing if I would have an affiliate with them. But this is the website, it's colors.co. I don't know if you have heard of it. And you essentially, I normally go to explore, and then you just start playing with colors, right? Like you have like so many beautiful colors, and when you click on any of these colors, for instance, I don't know, to make it something more different, and let's say I click on this one, right? So it's the code of the color, it's copied on the clipboard. So then you just need to come here, right? And just paste it. Oh, it even works without the hashtag, so that's perfect. The hashtag is like incorporated by Canva, I guess, I don't know. And then you have it, right? And then you go to next color, right? I don't know, we decide to maybe use something like, I like this one. I like blue skies. Blue sky color. And then we can just paste it here, right? This is exactly the color, the 2EC4B6. Yes, that's the color that we want, right? And you just play with that, right? For instance, in this case, maybe I would use something like this, right? And then we have a beautiful gradient, right? I mean, in this case, it's not very that beautiful, but you get the idea, right? You just look the colors that you like, and you start playing with these colors. And it's also super fun, right? Sometimes I just do it like, I don't know, I'm not like searching for any specifically. I'm just like exploring colors, I don't know. I don't really know why I do it sometimes, but it's just pretty cool. But whatever, let's get back to the colors that we had before, which is something like this. And now, before we start adding stuff on top of the background, and something I always do is to lock this rectangle, so that, you know, when you start putting stuff on top, and the background doesn't move around, you know, and stays like the same, right? Okay. Something else I wanted to show you before starting with the next steps is this bar here that I don't know if you have noticed, but it changes when you click on this arrow. And when we have it like this, it's going to be like, it's gonna go vertical. And if you have it like this, it's gonna go horizontal, right? So we are going to be able to control it in a horizontal way if we have it like this, or if we have it like this, it's gonna go vertical. Yeah. So for me, when I'm making thumbnails, I like to have it horizontally. Although when I'm creating actually the slides, when I make the actual content of my videos, I love to actually have it this way, right? Actually, I just have it like that by default. I haven't really been too conscious about it. Maybe I actually switched to this because I feel just like more in control when I have it this way. So I will just leave it like that. Okay, actually let's just copy paste this one. Okay, I just did a Command C, Command V first, but I think you can, I don't know if you can like just go here, duplicate page, and it's going to have the same effect. And I'm going to be creating new slides so we can see sort of like the evolution of the work that we are doing. And so we can always go back to the previous steps basically. So right now, the step would be to import sort of like all the external stuff that we're going to use, or at least just the external images that we're going to be using on this step, which is to import the speakers, right? I mean, for this particular thumbnail that we're building, I would like to import these two pictures, right? Because this is all made with Canva. So what I'm interested, the only stuff that I'm interested in exporting from the outside would be like this picture and this picture, right? And so we're going to make the example, I don't know, for instance, with Chamath, right? And what I usually would do is just come here, right? And just search for the picture. Chamath by Habitia. I think I know where it is more or less, so I think I will be able to find it fast. Copy image, and then I would just paste it here. Okay, so the step now would be to obviously remove the background here, because we only want to have the person, not the background included. So for that, and this is a Canva Pro feature, okay? So I will also show you a workaround that you can do if you don't have Canva Pro, or you didn't want to pursue the 30-day free trial. There's no issue with that. But the first one that I'm gonna be using is of course the Canva Pro feature, and then I will do the workaround. So we just go to edit image, and then we would go to BG remover, which is background remover. I'll just make it a little bit bigger and then apply the background remover. And when it's ready, something I sometimes do if it's necessary, it's to select a brush, right? And the brush I normally select is the erase brush, so that we can, because after this, what we're gonna do is to put like an outline, you know, which is essentially this thing here. Oh, what happened? Okay, it's essentially this line here, right? Which looks kind of cool, and that's what that's why I use it. But to do this, we need that the sort of like the surface, in this case the hair of Chamath, it's sort of like smooth, right? That there isn't like irregularities, right, on the surface. So that's why we use the erase brush, and the size that I normally would use, it's, I don't know, something like 8 to be a little bit more accurate, right? But actually, let me see something. Yeah, let's zoom in a little bit more. Nice, I think this is pretty cool. Okay, and then we sort of start making the surface a little bit more smooth here. All right, sometimes I do it many iterations, right? I fucked up a lot of times, and so I have to start over, and sometimes I spend a lot of time doing this. I don't know, maybe not a lot of time. I mean, maybe like 10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes, I guess. But yeah, sometimes could be frustrating if the surfaces are not very smooth, especially because this is like a circle. The eraser is like a circle, so it's going to leave you like this shape on the hair of, you know, of a circle. So what I do is, like, when the circle shape is created on the hair, I sort of go over again, but on the spikes that is being created, right? So if we do it a second time, then it's like starts to be a little bit more smooth, you know, and starts looking much better. For instance, this hair thing would be like a big problem if we are applying that outlining. Not a big problem, but, you know, it would, the irregularity would be noticed, right? Definitely. And so we do the side with this. We zoom out a little. Oh, what happened? Okay. We zoom out a little bit, and I think it's done. I think the surface, it's pretty smooth, so I think the outlining is going to go very well like this. Okay, so we just click done, and there we have it, guys. That's how we can remove the background. And so essentially, to do this without Canva Pro, what we can do is to go to this website that I used to use and before I had the Canva Pro, which I think I started using Canva Pro after I had, like, I don't know, 15,000 subscribers, something like that. But yeah, the website that I was using, what was the website? I forgot the name. Yeah, removal.ai, I think it was. Removal.ai, exactly. Essentially, what you can do with this website is, you know, instead of importing our previous picture, instead of importing it here and then remove the background, we would import the picture in here in this website, right? They choose a photo, and then you upload, you know, the picture that we choose here, that we chose here, and we just drag and drop or whatever, and then it will remove the background, and you will be able to export it without any background, and then we would just import it back, right, to the project. So it's very, very, very simple, right? So there's really no complication there, right? So it's going to export an image without the background once you do that, and then you take that picture and then you import it back here, right? And that's how you essentially get to the same picture. Now let's try to do the outlining that I was talking about, right? This thing right here, this line that is overlaying the outer surface line. So essentially, to do that, we're going to click again on Edit Image, and we're gonna go to Shadows. I don't think it was Shadows. I think, yeah, Shadows, but then within Shadows, we click on Glow. That's what we want. And once we click Glow, obviously this is not the effect that we want. So if you see this, there's like this little icon to like see the controls within it and change like and customize the glow. So we're gonna click again here, and that's how we can tune it, right, to how we want it. And essentially what I do is I put transparency to 100, blur to 0, and we change the color to white. I don't know if this can be a little bit bigger, maybe 5, right? Maybe it's a little bit bigger actually. I think, yeah, maybe I think I use something like 7, 8, something like that. I think this is pretty good size, and also it's also pretty similar to the one that I use on the original thumbnail. So I think this is good to go. Okay, let's apply this, right? And then I'm not sure if this is a Canva Pro feature, the outlining, but you can actually do it also with a website called borderize.com, which I also used to use before I became Canva Pro subscriber. And you can essentially do the same thing. You can choose your file, and then to that file you will say the same thing, right? The border size, the border color, if you want a shadow, whatever, all that things, you know. And I think actually these are the values that I was using back in the day. So I think just with that, maybe without the shadow color, but with a white color outlining and the border size to 4, it should give you essentially the same thing that like we did. Also, another thing that I wanted to mention about the removal.ai that I forgot to say is that when you export it, right, the picture, once you remove the background from the picture and you export it from the website, I believe the quality, the resolution of the picture is gonna be limited to something like 600 per 400 or 800. It's not gonna be more than 800 width and 600 height or height. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's gonna be something like that. It's not gonna be the best quality possible, right? For instance, this one, you can when you export it, you can choose essentially any resolution. For instance, this is by default almost 2,000 pixels width and almost 1,000 pixels of height, but you can go crazy with this. Like you can, for instance, if we leave it on 2, this 2 here, this would be a 4K, right? For instance, you want to create a 4K video, you just need to export these slides at essentially 3,840 and 2,160 pixels, right? If you want to export it at 4K. If you want to export it at 1080p, which is the full HD, the normal full HD on YouTube, you essentially leave it at 1 and that should work. Okay, so after this, you apply exactly the same steps as we did with the Chamath picture to the picture of Naval Ravikant, and you should get something like the same thing essentially. So because the steps are exactly the same, I'm just going to copy this picture here and just paste it here, right? Because it's going to be essentially the same thing that we did, right? So what I'm going to do now is put them on an orientation so that the thumbnail looks like symmetric, and we have space to write our text and maybe some image, right, that is going to support the message of the text, right? Which is, in this case, we are using an image, right? But sometimes I won't use an image, but I think most times I definitely would use a picture to support the message here, the text message. So we just maybe, I don't know, choose some size like this. A little bit bigger maybe. This is all really subjective, you know. I think it looks fine, but I think for some people might not look really good. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of iteration here, you know. I tried many things, and I think this is what works the best. And another thing that, like, what I'm doing right now is sort of comparing the sizes, right? I want them to have like the same look, because, for instance, if it's like this, right, it doesn't look really good, right? Or if it's like this, doesn't look really good. So we want a size that is sort of comparable, so that it can look more realistic, right? So, for instance, this size, I think, I'm not sure. It looks like his head. Maybe it's just like the way it is, but like the actual like humans. but I think it's a little bit bigger, the head of Chamath. I don't know. Like, I spend a lot of time just like, I don't know, trying to get around these kind of things, but I think looks nice, right? I don't know. I think I actually do it bigger. I've done it bigger, I think, yeah. So, I think this is pretty good, right? I think this is pretty good, yeah. Okay, so now we have this whole center part of the thumbnail to put all that text, all that images, and also for instance, if we go here to all my designs, I have everything on folders. For instance, this is for the folder where I create the videos, the thumbnails, and all that. And if we go to my thumbnails folder, you will see all my thumbnails that I've created. And what I want to show you is like specific sort of like effects, like for instance this. Like for instance this color, right? I don't know. For instance, to create the color that is behind this text, essentially what I used was like this color, right? And then it's just so cool, you know. This is like a graphic on Canva, and you just have so many colors of this kind, and that sort of creates, I don't know, like a really cool vibe, I think. So yeah, I sometimes kind of like use these colors, or for instance, I would, I don't know, for instance, a person. I have really bad creativity, as you can see, guys. And that's the only thing I could think about. But okay, so let's say that instead of choosing, you know, one of the images that are like filled in with colors and all that, I decide to choose something like this, right? Which doesn't have anything, right? It's just the sort of like lines, right? That resemble a person, of course. So if, for instance, this person, we put it on top of these kind of colors, it just looks awesome, right? Because we essentially are like, I don't know, like creating a new sort of meaning to this thing, right? For instance, it makes you, I don't know, think about something that we are trying to convey. I don't know what exactly it was about this, the best procedure to do anything. So in this case, it was like a light bulb, which I think doesn't have really anything. It's like empty. But then I put like this color, right? Like I don't know what I typing, I guess something like yellow explosion or light or whatever, right? And then this, I just put it behind the bulb picture and it looks like really, really cool, right? And then if we can put that crazy color, right? The color here that is behind, that sort of like goes from the bulb, it looks like, I don't know, it looks so like sort of original, or I don't know. But that's the sort of things that you can make on Canva. So that's really, really cool. And actually, I hope sadly, I think all the changes that I did are saved, but I will just go back to the beginning, and that's perfect. Okay. In this case, we're not using these crazy colors, and I think I normally don't use them because I want the thumbnails to be very simple, and because I think people can understand them more instantly, right? But if it makes sense, you can definitely put these kind of effects, and I do it. I do it anytime that I think it's logic to use them, like in the case of that thumbnail that I just closed. I think it made sense, you know, and it was a nice thing. So guys, now what I'm going to do, it's there's no really specific order to these kind of things, but I just wanted to make it maybe a little bit, not bright, but saturation, maybe a little bit saturated, so that it has like more, the colors are a little bit stronger, right? And then on the contrast, I think this is gonna make it blacker, or it's gonna make it like, yeah, like that. I think like that is cool, you know, because like the colors sort of like are way more alive, I think. Here I could do the same thing. I can change the contrast, right? I think this is way better than before. Then the saturation, just a little bit, right? We don't want to do it too much, because if we do it too much, it's going to look a little bit fake. But I think it's okay if we do it a little bit so that the colors are a little bit more alive. Before designing the text and the element from the Canva creative outlet, I just wanted to mention a few things, which I actually created another presentation here. And you will also have this on the finished project, and just have to click on the any part of here, and it will be open the finished project, which is it might be this one, but in any case, you are definitely gonna have this theory that I'm going to explain right now. And what I just wanted to mention are the two most important ideas when creating a thumbnail. Okay, the two most important ideas when making a thumbnail. I think I have to double click. Ooh, it went too far. Okay. I think I also mentioned this at the beginning, but yeah, I mean, it has to be super, super simple to understand. Like, people instantly know what the video is going to be about, right? And they have like no doubt that about the content. What's the content going to be like? They have a clear idea of what they are clicking. And then the other thing is that it has to trigger an emotion on the viewer, right? The viewer has to feel like, I don't know, some sensation, some emotion of curiosity, some, I don't know, like for instance on the news, we are really, really onto watching the news. I believe it's because of the prospect theory bias, right? That Daniel Kahneman Nobel Prize always talks about, which is that the bad things have more relevance to humans than the good things, because to survive, we need to be always aware of the bad things around us, and we need to pay attention to it, right? So we are by evolution, we just are like programmed that way. We pay way more attention to bad things than to good things. Even if there aren't bad things, we go to the news because we are like, oh, there might be a bad thing that I need to be aware of, right? And there's always bad things, of course, because there's 8 billion people in the world, and there's a lot of things that happen randomly, and a lot of crazy people out there. So, and also, of course, the news are biased to always choose this kind of like news that is going to addict to click us, which is a little bit like the play of the prospect theory that Daniel Kahneman talks about. So that's the other thing, right? To trigger an emotion on the viewer, right? Now I also want to play something that exactly about the simplicity to understand and the emotion trigger on the viewer, and explained by Mr. Beast, right? I heard this on the Discord of Mr. Beast, and it just blew my mind, right? And that was one of the moments that really like switched something on me, on the dimension of creating video titles and thumbnails, right? So I'm going to play right now.
What makes a good thumbnail? So, I mean, that's just so loaded. I think it's, there's so many different ways to make a good thumbnail. I mean, I can give you the generic answer, right? Like, obviously you want it to be simple. You want them to be able to, like, when they're scrolling through their suggested or homepage or whatever touch point, you want them to instantly be able to understand what you're conveying, and you want them to feel some type of emotion, you know what I mean? And the way I like to phrase it is you want to make it so interesting or spike their curiosity or whatever emotion so much that, like, if they don't click it, they'll wonder, when they're before they go to bed, like, what happened? You know what I mean? Like an example would be like, if you uploaded a video, I rode a skateboard with 1,000 other people on it. You know what I mean? And you have a thumbnail with 1,000 people on a skateboard, right? And like people are falling off the side or whatever. And I'm envisioning like a giant skateboard and people like hanging on the side of it, whatever. Maybe it's like about to go off a big ramp. And then it's like, that's something where, like, if you don't click that, you're gonna like be so curious. It's gonna be on your mind, later in the day when you're daydreaming, you're gonna think like, what happened? What happened to those 1,000 people on that skateboard? And so that's kind of the mindset I think you should have when making thumbnails.
Okay, so let's get back with the project. But one last thing that I wanted to mention, it's also that the thumbnail and the title of a YouTube video has to always fulfill the promise that you're making on the actual content on your video, right? So the thumbnail and the title has to confirm what's on the content of your video, right? And there has to be a really good relationship between them, right? And the thumbnail and the title has to represent what's on the actual video, because otherwise that's just gonna be a clickbait, and what's gonna happen is that after some time people will stop watching your videos because they're not going to like that you are using thumbnails and titles that do not correlate with what's on the actual video, right? It's just like when you go to, I don't know, a store and they promote their stuff like they're like the best thing ever, right? And then you just get a hamburger that is worse than, I don't know. I was thinking McDonald's, but I actually like McDonald's a lot, so I don't know what to say. But a lot of people hate McDonald's, so we can say, I don't know. If you don't like McDonald's, it's like, imagine you eat a hamburger worse than McDonald's, right? And that hamburger, maybe it's like, I don't know, imagine it's just 3 times more expensive than McDonald's. You're gonna be like, they just stole my money, right? I'm never getting back here, right? So it's kind of like the same idea with YouTube videos. It's like if you make a super flashy thumbnail title and it's like has nothing to do with what's on the actual video, and people is going to be like, it's going to feel like you stole their attention time, right? That they could have like spent somewhere else. So essentially they will like blacklist you and consciously, even subconsciously, not even open your videos anytime soon. So it's very, very, very important that actually put in the title and thumbnail has to really represent accurately what's on the actual video. Also, when the video starts, you have to deliver right away what's on the thumbnail, because otherwise, like, people is not going to wait even 30 seconds to confirm that what you are saying in the thumbnail corresponds to the video, right? If you don't start delivering on the first seconds, people is just going to click off your video, and that is going to affect your click-through rate, and then YouTube is not going to promote your videos, and you will not grow your YouTube channel, essentially. Okay, so let's start with the text part on the design that we are doing here. Okay. Let's just go to text. Let's go to the style that I like, which is Bebas Niue. This is a style that I think always use, or 99% of the time I use. Okay guys, so let's start with the text now, once and for all. And let's see if we can actually finish this tutorial before my laptop dies. It's from 2017, so I think this is not more than half an hour of life. So, what was exactly these ideas are the new oil? Okay. So whenever I'm like writing the text, I will always like the main thing is to always make it symmetric, because you know, symmetric is just synonym to good looking and attractive from a designing aesthetic point of view. So I will always like try to do the text as much symmetric as possible, right? Having like good margins and all that kind of stuff. So if I grab here, ideas are, and also for words that aren't really important, or like are connectors of the text, the general text and such, I don't use the bold style. You know, I just use it for the keywords that I actually want to use. In this case, ideas is an important word for, so I want it on a bold style, right? But R, obviously, I don't want it to have it like a bold style, because it's not that important. And then we just copy paste. Here it's ideas are the new oil. Okay, so now there's just a lot of work of trying to fit this all in a symmetric way and make it look appealing, and also do it pretty sort of well, we don't have to do it now, we will do it later. I will show you how, because then we're going to group the text, and we are going to adjust the size of the text at the same rate. So here we also have words that I don't want to have it in this bold style. And then something I do is I really have it, words pretty close to each other. And now to make this symmetric sort of like style and all that, what I always do is I create a square, I put it on front, and then I just use it to make these symmetric, the symmetric spaces, right? So that everything is as beautiful as we can do it. So in this case, for instance, I'm trying to make this symmetric to this. So if there are like spaces here, I want that the width of these spaces are more or less the same, right? So that it is symmetric. And it is symmetric, because we can see that the space here between this word, the end of these words and the square is more or less the same. It's approaching the same. So that's really like, people is not going to perceive too much of a symmetric difference here. And actually, if we move it, like if we are going to move it at that level of precision, we will need to zoom in really like a lot. So maybe if we do it this way, we can do something interesting. I think now it's a little bit better. I'm actually not sure if it's better, but looks better. Like, we can say that this is like 99% symmetric, right? So that's okay, I think. And I'm going to approach this a little bit more down. And I don't know if you know this, guys, but to move around the text on only one direction, for instance, if I want to move stuff only in the vertical direction, we can do this by clicking, just pressing, you know, the click without dropping it, and then at least in a Mac, I would use the shift button, I think, and then we can move it only vertically or we can move it only horizontally. So that's perfect, right? Because it's not going to move. Like in this case, we just want to move it vertically, because if it moves around horizontally as well, we are going to mess up that symmetric trick. That symmetric play or whatever that we're doing here. Okay, so now I will try to, well, actually, before doing anything, I'm actually going to increase the size of this, right? Because it looks pretty small if you compare it with the total size of the thumbnail. So I think something like that is good, right? Maybe a little bit smaller, but should be good. And something I usually do at this stage is I group them together so that when I change the size, or I want to move it around or do whatever, it does it like both at the same time, right? And at the same rate of anything that we're doing here. And so that way also the symmetry it is conserved, right? And we don't mess that up as well. So at this stage, what I also do is that, oh shit, 18%. Okay. I think I will cut it. So I will see you back when I put the feed of my computer. Okay, guys. So now my laptop is charging, so everything is fine, and we can keep doing the design. Okay. So what I want to do now is to just like we did the symmetry, like within text. Now I want to do the same, but actually a symmetry between a space here and the space here, right? And for that, we can actually take like a limit on this word, for instance, because we know that there is symmetry already between this text line and this text line. So if we can ensure a symmetry between the largest text line and the end, the extremes of the thumbnails, we can ensure that everything is symmetric, at least horizontally. And we are going to just copy paste. So as you can see, guys, this is not very symmetric. So I'm actually gonna take this and put it a little bit like, oh, that's amazing. We see that there was like this 28, I think it's 28 pixels. I'm almost sure that it's 28 pixels, but it's great that, you know, automatically Canva detects when there are like symmetries and same numbers, so we can be sure that there is like symmetry right horizontally here. Okay. And now I'm not sure if I'm going to work on a vertical symmetry, because we still need to insert the image, right? This image. So first I'm going to insert that image, and then we see how we can work around that. What I'm noticing here, guys, is that I don't know, it feels to me that there's like more space here when I compare it to this space, but that has to be my imagination because there is like 28 pixels, right? Should be the same. So yeah, I think it's just a perception, subjective thing, but that's why I think it's good to always like see the numbers, because sometimes we just see something in a way, but that's like entirely subjective to the person, but that's not really how most people probably will see it on an average. Probably on the average, people is going to notice that the space here is just essentially the same. So we are just going to leave it like that. Okay. For the moment, I'm just going to delete these rectangles and we can start working on putting that barrel. So I think the way that I searched for it was, I think I first searched for oil barrel, but then I searched, I didn't really, I mean, I found some cool images with oil barrel, I think. But I think I didn't find exactly this picture, which is like I always search for a lot of pictures and then I just take the one that I'm like, wow, like this is like so cool. So for that one specifically, I think I searched for petroleum. And I always go to the graphics, you know, I don't really like the photos unless you're doing like one of these, you know, when you're doing videos, I don't know, motivational videos or whatever, you know, a lot of people use like stock videos and photos videos. Photos videos, what the fuck? Photo stocks and video stocks. And actually, you can search for that in the specific window for videos. And these are all free stock videos that you can use, right? Especially if you have also the Canva Pro subscription, you can also use like these kind of things, which I also think you can use it with the free Canva version, but you will have a watermark, right? That's what happens. That's what Canva will do if you use a pro thing, a pro element, without having Canva Pro. They will have like a watermark of Canva, I guess, to compensate with some marketing of Canva, the fact that you're using like you're using it without paying, I guess. Okay, so and that was just something I wanted to show you. But for instance, here you can also search. Oh, okay, this is for avatars. Pixton should be for avatars, but there was another one like for pictures and such. I think it was like pixels or something like that. It was somewhere around here. And you can also draw. I tried, but I didn't really like it, and I prefer to do it on my iPad with the app Notability. That's just beautiful, man. You can draw or write so easily with that app. I guess you can do the same with other apps, but that's the only one I have tried, and it's just so good that I haven't tried anything else. So yeah, for instance, you have here pixels, and you can choose free like royalties pictures, right? You can use any of these pictures. Then some of these are also going to be like Canva Pro. I don't think I see any pro pictures. Maybe there's no pro pictures. I don't know. The thing is that there's just so many things in Canva, right? But whatever, let's get back to the project. We were searching for the petroleum barrel. Oh, this is the one. And it's actually Canva Pro as well. There are many that aren't Canva Pro. Like this one, you can use it without the watermarks. So there's many that you don't need to be Canva Pro subscriber. But because I am a Canva Pro subscriber, I choose one of these barrels, which I think is more beautiful. So what I will do here is just like we did the symmetry thing with the text, we're gonna do also the symmetry thing with the picture here. So essentially, I'm gonna go here. But first, maybe I will increase a little bit of the size, something like this, and maybe this. I will put it a little bit more upper. Right, and we see that there's more or less the same space here. Okay, nice. That's nice. Now let's just copy paste this square. Whoop, perfect. And I will try to make it symmetric between these squares. If I can make it symmetric between these squares, it's going to be 99% symmetric in the entire thumbnail, so that's gonna be good enough. I don't have the numbers like I did before. I thought I would have the numbers, but I guess it's because there's, I don't know, the picture has like irregularities like this shape and all that, so that's fine. Oh, there we have the number. Perfect. 19 pixels. Okay, nice. So now we can actually ensure that this is symmetric, right? Because it will be like, you know, the same size, and then it's like 19 separation between the squares. So that's fantastic. Okay. Now, I think I can delete this. We can do the same thing to seek sort of like a symmetry between the end here and between like the distance with the text here, like this, and when the text starts. But actually, I think it's pretty good, you know, looks pretty symmetric to me. So yeah, I think that's all. I think we're not leaving anything else. Maybe the background is a little bit lighter. You know, we can definitely work on that. I mean, in the case that we actually want it lighter, maybe we want it like this, like more dark, I don't know. But, you know, I can just, like this, it should be way more lighter now. Way lighter, not more lighter. I suck at English in school, and I think I'm still not very good. Okay. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you would make a thumbnail with Canva. And as you can see, we can make fully the thumbnail on Canva. We don't have to rely on anything else. I mean, you will rely on external websites in the case that you don't have Canva Pro and you want to, you know, remove the background and all that kind of things, and also to add like images that you will need Canva Pro to add certain images. I mean, a lot of images, a lot of elements. But I think you can start a YouTube channel with maybe without it. But if you start with Canva Pro, I think it's even better. And also, if you buy Canva Pro, I mean, after you have the 30-day free trial, if at the end of the free trial you decide to buy the Canva Pro subscription and you did it with my affiliate link, I will get also a commission from that. So that way, you know, you also will be supporting this channel, and I will be I will have like more resources to dedicate more time to these kind of things. So one last thing that I wanted to mention, that I normally like test I think I already said it, but I sort of test this like the size, and I try to, you know, like see if in a small screen, you know, like in a phone, in a smartphone, this is going to be still visible. So I will test it with, I normally test it with like 26. Oh no, this is so big. But you can get an idea, right? I mean, just think when you're scrolling on your YouTube, you know, on your smartphone, your phone, and you will see the thumbnail, you'll probably see a size like this, something around that. I think I tested at 26, but 26 is so big, right? I think there's something going on with the sound here, or maybe it's my fucked up perception, I don't know. But you can apply some common sense and more or less, or even like test it to the extreme, right? Like so small. And if it works at this size, it's going to work on any font out there, right? And you can still read it, right? You can still more or less who the people is, and you can read, right? It's like ideas are the new oil, and everything is just you can see it. So now, guys, really the last thing that I want to mention, which is that I also going to leave like my checklist for the thumbnails and the titles that I always use when I'm making any video. I always have like a checklist to check like everything and make sure that everything is the way that it should be. And I essentially going to also leave it in the finish course. So if you click on the finish course, you will more or less at this level, you will be able to see this slide in which you can, and if you copy paste this link, I'm not like creating an asset which has the link because if you see it on like a slide, it's actually not gonna open. So just copy the link, and then you can just like if you open it here, you will be able to see this Excel sheet, which for instance this would be my checklist for the video title, right? So these are the things, essentially the things that I do and why I do them. I mean, sometimes I put the why, not always, because sometimes it's like self-evident why to do something. So if it's too self-evident, I just want to keep it simple and I won't explain why. But in case it sort of needs to be explained, and sometimes I don't know, I don't have it that like that much soaked in as second nature, I will write the why of the thing that I'm doing, And then for the thumbnail, these would be the things that I always check, after I make my thumbnail. I want to make sure that I have done all of these things, which a lot of this, I've just talked about it in the course. And also, there's I guess this is a sheet, I guess, but because this is called, the entire thing is called Google Sheet, it's a little bit weird, because these are sheets and this entire thing is a sheet, but whatever, Google names. So essentially what we have here are like principles that I always try to sort of rely on when creating a video title, to essentially trigger that emotion on the viewer, right? And I took a lot of this stuff from a guy called Jake Taylor, which actually I don't know why I didn't credit him, because a lot of this stuff, like it's coming from a lot of parts, right? From Mr. Beast, from Think Media, the YouTube channel Think Media, but a lot of these principles are coming from this guy, Jake Taylor, I think is the name. And I will credit him here, I think, when I finish. So that's another thing that you will have, if you open this. And then also, guys, I was thinking about maybe building out a YouTube course so that you can maybe create a similar channel to how I've done mine. And so essentially, if you can like help out to like give feedback, or if this is something that you think it would be interesting to you, and more things that I can, get some insights on, and I would really appreciate if you can fill out this form. I explain a little bit what's the course going to be about, but essentially I would be like explaining the whole process of how I go about, making a YouTube video, right? From when I just take notes from a conversation that I find interesting, to the last point, which is to upload the video on YouTube that is based on that content, right? That is based on the notes that I have taken on a very like interesting conversation and such. And then I would also explain sort of like the business side of the YouTube channel, right? And what are like all the options a creator would have to monetize his channel, especially in the sort of content that not really like the niche content that I do, but the way I do it, right? Which is like I would take audios that I find really interesting, and then I just mix it with the slides, you know, the creative leverage that I can get from Canva, right? And so I will be also explaining that, and also the how would you go about protecting yourself against copyright claims and all that kind of things that can happen in YouTube, especially if you are using content from different sources which you are not exactly the owner. And well, in this particular case, is essentially we will be analyzing deeply what's the fair use exception about, which is essentially an exception to the Copyright Act law of the United States. And then, yeah, that's basically it. It's just a form that it will help me out with that, and see, you know, if it's interesting for people, I would go ahead on building this YouTube course. And if I don't find that people find it very interesting, and probably I will not do it, because I guess it's like a lot of work. I don't know if it's a lot of work, but I have to give it a little bit more of thought. But I think a great way to start something is always like with this kind of forums, to get the feedback and how people think about the thing that you're building, right? So that when the product is ready to ship, it's not like people not want it, don't want it, but you have already put feedback from people, right, into the product before you ship it, so you know that there's gonna be at least some market fit, right? So that's what I try to do with this course, and I think I'm gonna share it actually on the Discord. I just open quickly, and I'm sorry for making this tutorial so long, but Discord has any other input? Sure, I don't know, don't switch it. And I'm gonna share it on Business Ideas channel and chat and see how the reaction is. Yeah, I think it's the right channel. Actually, there was a Paul, he also shared something similar. I think it was like a forum for a mouse product, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for listening to the whole tutorial. I hope you found it useful. I wish you the best in your designing of thumbnail and in your creative journey.